Sure where everyone is. Maybe people just went straight to YouTube.
They may have. I'm starting it up.
Okay, cool. All right, Anthony, can we tell who's on YouTube? They won't be able to ask questions.
I don't know if we'll be able to see who's there.
Okay.
And we're not doing I didn't set up for chat on YouTube because we
So,
were.
Yep. So they won't be able to ask questions.
And then I'm going to just go ahead and start recording.
Yeah, we just came from, like I was mentioning, a meeting with the commander, and we did have some of the aldermanic candidates there. So here's Aisha, may just give people some minutes to join. Jennifer, did you have a question?
She could put it in the chat.
Put your question in the chat, please. Aisha, thank you for joining. Aisha Humphreys, she's a write-in district council candidate for the 6th district.
Did you want to unmute the candidates now?
You can, yeah.
All right.
Here comes some more people coming in now. Who is iPad Pro?
Couldn't tell you.
Jennifer said that's not her hand. Okay.
Oh.
iPad Pro 9.7. Can you put in the chat what your name is, please?
And Aisha, you should be unmuted now.
I am. Thank you.
Right.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, I just sent out an alert on Facebook, and I'm going to do one for next door to tell them it's happening now.
Okay. Anthony, can you see on YouTube how many people are there?
There is one person watching. I think that's me.
Oh, okay. We've got people coming in now.
Yeah, you know, we did the 10th ward, the 5th ward forum today, and the majority of the people came at like 10:15, including some of the candidates.
Yeah, they've got a lot going on.
Came strolling in like 5 minutes after it started. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll give them a few more minutes. Want to be respectful of everyone's time, even though we have 2 hours. We just allotted 2 hours. I don't know that it's going to go on for 2 hours. Depends on how many people join and how many questions we have. I know a lot of people were asking me about, they just saw the register part and didn't see that there is a meeting ID and passcode.
It was all on the flyer.
I know. Yeah, I know. And yeah, this is what we're, this is kind of, who is MB? It must be iPad Pro. Here's Allison Jenkins. That's Allison from the 4th district. Hey, Allison, Isaac. So people are starting to come in now.
Okay.
Okay.
Your chat moderator's name, is that Michelle?
Yes, Michelle with 1 L, McGee, no H.
Okay,
Yes,
Michelle,
sir.
I need to be where you are with the palm trees and the sunlight and the ocean waves behind you. Like
you and me both.
Damon,
Man.
okay, see, that's false advertisement because I'm in my living room.
Catfishing, that's not
But
cool.
that right there is my motivation to always be woosah. That is just a background.
Yep, here come people coming in now. There's a question that we can maybe answer while we're waiting for people to come in. Aisha, can you answer this question? What is the procedure
for a write-in candidate? Mm-hmm.
What is the procedure for becoming a write-in candidate?
She'd have to be unmuted. You're not unmuted. Hold on, Aisha.
And I can answer that too if you need me to.
Oh, sure. One of you.
You can go ahead. I mean, I can walk people through kind of my understanding what I did to become a write-in. It was just that there was a deadline. There was a petition filing deadline, which took place, I believe, that Monday after Thanksgiving on the 30th. And then for candidates to file as write-ins, You have to submit a form called a declaration of intent to file, which has to be notarized and submitted to the Board of Elections. And the deadline date for that was December 29th.
Correct.
So to my knowledge, for the 6th district, as of December 29th, which was the day I actually filed on the last day, because I realized that there were only 2 candidates, and I actually went down and filed on the last day. And I think that at the time, as of that morning, was the only write-in candidate who had actually filed. You can file to write it, like you can write your name in, but if you do not have the declaration of intent, I don't know the rules behind it, but I believe it is disqualified, or there's just no space on the ballot.
That is correct.
Mhm.
Ms.
And the
Simpson, does that
names-
answer your question?
There's one last part, and the names of the write-in candidates will not be published with the other candidates until 1 week before the election. So on February 21st, you will see a list of all the write-in candidates on all the ballots.
Oh,
So how does that work for early voting?
right.
Not very well.
Not correct.
Yeah,
there-
I think they
there's-
also have a
there's-
list of the names at each precinct, but that's not until the day of the vote. So
Correct.
at the precinct, they'll also have a list. I actually don't know where they're publishing the names at a week ahead.
Yeah, I just got the list from the city of Chicago, the email. They have everyone's name on there. You're on there along with your background and the questions, I guess, that they asked you.
From the
Yeah,
City of Chicago website, from the
Yes.
Board of Elections.
That is separate
uh,
from the Board of Elections.
yeah, separate from the Board of Elections. I think it's CCPSA, if I'm not mistaken. Let me look here right quick, because I just got it yesterday.
Oh, I haven't
Um,
seen it, so.
Yeah, and it's got, because I looked and I saw it asked, you know, what prompted you to do this, where you live, where you work. It had all of those questions.
Jennifer,
Um,
if you have a question, if you could put it in the chat for now, that would be appreciated.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Oh, you know what it was? It came from the Chicago Neighborhood Policing Initiative. And then within that was a link to the Community Commission, CCPSA. David Boykin is here. Thank you. He's one of our candidates in the 6th district. David, thank you for coming. Anthony, can you unmute David Boykin? There's another question.
About the term for this office, I just want to be clear, you're talking about the district council, right, PA? Yes, yes. So what's the term for this office? Damon?
4 years.
4 years. Oh, Jennifer says she just had a comment on voting for the candidates. You could put it in the chat if you wanted just to, what's the comment?
Yeah, please put it in the chat. We've only unmuted our presenter, Damon Smith, and our district candidates.
Oh.
So it's 2:10. Do we want to start now or?
Think
Anthony?
so. We want to be timely with people's time.
Yeah, Anthony,
See me and David on the
Say
same
that
island.
again, Tiny.
do we want to go ahead and start with,
Okay. All right.
and if people come in and they have, you know,
Yeah,
Question.
I would go ahead and get started.
okay.
Yeah, because at this point it's, 10
All
minutes.
right, well, thank you, everyone, for coming out. I know we've got a lot going on in the city of Chicago. This is a citywide presentation, so it doesn't matter which district you sit in. The community, we have a presenter, his name is Damon Smith. He's from the Community Commission for Public Safety and Accountability for our new district councils. It's something new. They're on the ballot, both for early voting and for the election day, February 28th. I know in the 6th district and in the 6th ward, a lot of people have no clue what this new role is. And it's confusing because we have a lot of candidates for mayor, we have a lot of candidates for alderman, for all the different wards, and it's very unclear. And I think that from what I understand, this new commission and the role and it's still hold on a second. I'm getting a message that people said when they click the link and nothing is happening. Also says other people are waiting. Anthony, do you see other people in the background waiting?
No, I don't have anybody in
Oh yeah, my neighbor says 5 waiting.
They are in some other meeting.
Okay.
Maybe they should just use
Just log in.
the meeting ID and passcode, and not the link.
Okay. Use the meeting ID and passcode. Yeah, if you all could tell them, I'll put the meeting ID and passcode in there. Yeah, my neighbor is even, oh boy. And if this is confusing, imagine, you know that the district council is confusing for people. I'll put it in the chat in case anyone else is getting, I mean, I don't know how, I mean, it's on the flyer. Hold on one second, I apologize. But we also have a large contingent of elderly people who are as equally confused. Okay, meeting ID. Aisha, if you could give folks that and just have them log in. Yes, because my neighbor said she's getting a message saying 6 people are waiting in the lobby, but I don't see anyone. People tried to click the link. Is that what they did? Okay, here's Kirby. We have an aldermanic candidate just joining. Okay, sorry about this.
Tanya, it's all good.
Okay.
Free.
There's a question in the chat. Let's take
Yes.
that about why we're having this meeting and why is this meeting important? Damon, can you answer that?
Yes.
Is it
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Damon Smith, or some may say Reverend Damon Smith. Damon Works, not Damien, Damon Works. And I am the Deputy Director for the District Council of the Community Commission for Public Safety and Accountability. Henceforth, we shall call it the CCPSA. And I'm the Deputy Director for the District Councils. And we are having this meeting because I was invited by Tanya to talk to this wide-ranging audience from across the city about the district councils, because this is an entity, this commission is an entity that has never been done before. And we are asking the people of Chicago who are going to vote for offices and officers whom they've never had to vote for before. And so to kind of make sure everyone understands what this is going forward, why they need to vote for these individuals, what these individuals are going to be doing, what is this commission all about and the work that they will be doing. I've been invited here to kind of answer some of those questions and get to the nitty gritty of it so that everyone is kind of educated about these particular issues going forward in this commission. Let me say on the offset that there is a dog in my house who is wandering around. Right now he is napping, but periodically he may see a bird outside the window and bark. He means no disrespect, but I just want to give that fair warning that my dog is here and he's doing his guard dog duties. So let's kind of get started. As people are popping in, please put your questions in the chat. I know they'll be navigated and going through, and I will be answering those questions accordingly. I do have a full copy of the ordinance right here. So if there's stuff that I don't know off the top of my head, I will be referring to that to make sure that all the answers are correct going forward. We all good? All good? So let me kind of get started. Why are we here? We are here because in 2021, an ordinance was passed called the Empowering Communities Public Safety Act was passed. That was an ordinance that was passed by the city council and approved by the administration, that created this new body of oversight, police oversight. This new body of oversight is comprised of two houses, if you will. One house, if you think of like of commissioners who kind of are like senators, and another house that's like the U.S. representatives. Those are your district councils. So there are two houses that this ordinance created. The job of the ordinance and these two houses is to create police accountability and develop better, sustainable public safety practices in our police districts across the city of Chicago. Well, don't we already have COPA? Don't we already have a police board? Don't we already have CAP? So why is this needed and why is this different? This is the Community Commission for Public Safety and Accountability is the first and only commission in the city of Chicago and in the entire United States of America that has public safety and accountability that is totally independent of the mayoral administration, independent of the Chicago Police Department Superintendent's office, independent of the IG's office, independent of the police board, and independent of COPA. It is 100% independent and only answers to one group of individuals. And those individuals are the members of communities across the city of Chicago. Let that sink in for a minute. The other part of this very unique commission, previously, the mayoral administration in the city of Chicago would develop a list of candidates develop a list of candidates to be the police superintendent, select from that list, do an interview process, make a recommendation to hire an individual. That individual will then be presented before the city council, who typically approves that candidate, and that candidate is now the superintendent of the police of the city of Chicago. That is no more. That is no more. The way the process will work now, the commissioners, 7-member commissioners, will submit names of individuals who they believe are qualified to be the superintendent of the police department of the city of Chicago. A list of names be submitted to the mayor's office. The mayor must select an individual from that list of names. Once that person is selected, they go before the city council for questions and answers, interviews, etc., to be confirmed by the city council, and then they will be the next superintendent of police. The same is true, and the same process is true for the leadership of COPA and the leadership of the police board. So no longer can an administration in the city of Chicago hire the police superintendent, leadership of COPA, leadership of the police board without community commissioner input. Let that sink in. Okay. This has never been done before in the city of Chicago. This has never been done anywhere across the country. And this is a total independent process. Step back 1 minute. So these two houses, you have the commissioners and you have the district councils. The commissioners are 7 individuals, 2 from the north side, 2 from the south side, 2 from the west side, and 1 general in terms of geography. Amongst other qualifications they have to meet that's written in the ordinance. And these 7 individuals have the ability to make recommendations, again, for the superintendent's office, police board leadership, COPA leadership. They also can make recommendations on general orders of the police department. They can also make recommendations, on practices and procedures of the police department. They can also make recommendations on the police department's budget. That's the job of the commissioners. The commissioners also can request specific information, data, research, programming, etc., of the district councils. And we'll get to them in a minute. So the commissioners have the global citywide responsibility of police oversight and accountability. That's their job. In place right now today are 7 individuals who are part of the interim commission. They're interim commissioners. Because once the ordinance was passed, we had to have commissioners in place. And those individuals, those 7 individuals will be commissioners until the permanent commissioners are selected and put in place. We all with me so far? We all good? Okay. Hold that little nugget. The other house, the district councils. The district councils are is comprised of 3 members who will be elected on your ballots right now and on February 28th. 3 members from your communities, from your police district, where you live. They will be elected by you, the community. Anyone who is a registered voter can vote for a district council member of the police district in which they live. Each police district will have 3 individuals who will be elected. 3 times 22 police districts across the city of Chicago means on March 1st, there will be 66 new elected officials in the city of Chicago. 66 new elected officials across the city of Chicago. These individuals should be campaigning, asking for your votes, telling them about themselves, letting you know why they're qualified, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, in many districts, there are write-in candidates. Because of the election laws in the city of Chicago and the Board of Elections, their names will not be released by the Board of Elections until 1 week before election day. So their names will be released on February 21st. That's the law. However, they can campaign. They can tell you that they are write-in candidates. They can pass out palm cards. They can do everything every other candidate can do. I must say this very fervently. When someone says that they are a write-in candidate, ask them if they have been certified by the Board of Elections. If they are not a certified write-in candidate, which means that they have agreed to be a candidate, they have met the qualifications, the Board of Elections has verified and vetted them to be individuals who have met the qualifications in terms of residency and the other qualifications in the ordinance, those are the only individuals who can be write-in candidates, and their names they can tell you and let you know how to vote for them when it goes forward. You cannot write in someone, well, let me go back. If they are not a certified write-in candidate, that vote will not count. So you must make sure you are voting for a certified write-in candidate. Okay, so there are individuals who are running for office who are official candidates and official certified write-in candidates. The top 3 candidates will be the district council members for that police district. You cannot vote for, I know some individuals are running as a slate. You cannot vote for one individual in the slate and a vote transfer to the other 2 individuals. It does not work that way. When they're running as a slate, that simply means vote for me and for me and for me. Vote for those 3 individuals individually, because they've agreed to work together in some capacity as district council members. But there is nowhere on the ballot where you can vote for one person and your vote will count or transfer to the others. Make sure that's clear.
Damon, let me make sure that we all understand, because
Yes.
in the 6th district, it is 2 candidates and 1 write-in.
Right.
So by all intents and purposes, one would think where they're shoo-ins.
They are.
However, what if you have your 3 people, and I have not voted yet, so I don't know what the ballot looks like. What if I say yes to this one, yes to this one, but no to that one? Is that doable? Or it's like you leave it blank? How does that work?
If it would be true for any other office.
Mhm.
If you leave a spot blank, but someone else votes for that person, they would win.
Right. Right. So you can leave it blank, what you're saying, you're not voting for that person, but of course they're going to get the votes because it's just 3 people.
Correct.
Right.
For the district council members, the rule for them is total number of votes. It is not 50% plus 1 as it is for the mayor, treasurer, clerk, and alderperson.
Right.
As long as they get 1 vote, they're in there.
Yes. We do have a couple questions before we get into the with the candidates. I want to make sure you answer, Damon. Someone asked, where will the respective district councils be housed? If that has been even determined yet. I would think in the districts, but I don't know.
Let me get there.
Okay.
We got a little ways to go before we get there. Let me get through the election part first.
Okay.
So we've gone through the candidates, we've gone through the write-in candidates. I've clarified the slate situation. And then so everyone's going to be voting by February 28th and or on February 28th. On March 1st, I have 66 new official officers, elected officials. These individuals will be inaugurated and sworn in on Tuesday, May 2nd. And there'll be a ceremony. We're going to swear them in, etc. Between March 1st and May 2nd, I and my team will be putting them through intense training on their job. So they know what they're doing, when they're going to be doing it, etc. So they know how to do their jobs better. Part of that process will be what we will be equipping them with to do their jobs. I can tell you this as of right now. The district councils must have a monthly community meeting in the district every month. So every month there'll be 22 meetings across the city of Chicago. Where these meetings are held will be up to the district councils. They can be at the local police district. They can be in libraries. They can be in churches. They can be in sorority houses or fraternity houses. They can be for a Black club representative's house or home. Wherever the community wants those particular meetings to be held, that's where they will be held. Community meetings must be recorded. The meeting notices must be posted. The agendas must be posted. The meetings have to happen. Any notes that are taken, like a vote or anything like that, have to be recorded. The minutes have to be recorded. And then within 24 hours of the end of the meeting, those things must be published. Every month. Of the 3 members of the district councils, there is 1 member who will be the chair. There'll be 1 member who's the community engagement specialist. And there'll be another individual who's going to be part of the nominating committee. The chair will handle a lot of the administration stuff that I just mentioned of the district council. The engagement specialist will have the expertise on scheduling meetings, where they're located, getting feedback from the community, how to collect data from the community, getting information back out to the community that the community wants, helping the community institute programs, initiatives, projects, etc. That's what that person's job is. The nominating committee member, there'll be one member of each of the district councils. Their job will be to nominate, to meet and to nominate individuals for the permanent commission.
Damon, can you repeat that? The first person is going to do what?
The chair is like the administrator of the district council. The chair will handle a lot of the scheduling, a lot of the posting of the minutes, the agendas, the advertising for the meetings, the invitation to the meetings, and making sure all that information is posted 24 hours prior and then 24 hours post the meeting.
Okay, so they're not operating in isolation.
No.
Okay, that's a good distinction. There is a question on here. You talk about they're going to be sworn in. What legal enforcement of local municipal CPD codes or regulations will the commission or the council members be responsible for? They are not sworn officers.
They are not sworn officers. They will be very similar to city council members in terms of
Or
an elected
aldermen?
official. Yep. Except being sworn officers. Councilmen are sworn officers, actually. So they will be held accountable to the inspector general.
Oh, the council
Well,
members?
The district council members will have to follow the rules and regulations of being an elected official as stated by an inspector general.
Oh, so they will not report to the commissioners?
Not really, no. They report to the community. And if there is a challenge or an issue with a district council members, the community, according to the ordinance, have a mechanism on how to move that forward to the commissioners, and then the commissioners will step in.
Okay, gotcha. Because there is a question. 4 years is a long time. If you're not happy with a particular individual that's representing your district, how do we go about removing or voting out a district council member that we're not happy with, or that is not a performing accord? This is a job.
It is a job.
They're getting paid. So they
monthly
report
stipend.
to someone. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So who do they
part of
report
my
to?
unit, I am also hiring 5 community outreach coordinators.
Okay.
And each one of these coordinators will be responsible for 4 police districts. One, of course, will have 5, or 2 will have 5. And they will be going to these meetings as well, and representing and taking notes and making sure that things are happening the way they are supposed to. And they'll be reporting back to me so that we kind of have an idea of what's happening as we go forward. So nobody will be left alone in this process.
So who are they reporting to?
The
Inspector
community outreach
General,
coordinators,
the council members,
the council members first report to the community.
and then after that,
And if the community is not satisfied with their work, they need to inform the community outreach coordinator, who can then start the mechanism to get the commissioners involved.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Do you want to go, Michelle? Somebody's asking, how much are they being paid? Are they being paid? How are
yes,
they?
the question is, provide insight on district council's fiduciary responsibility regarding the monthly stipends, et cetera. How are district council members allowed to utilize their stipends, and how will transparency be provided on how stipends are utilized?
District council members receive a $500 monthly stipend. And that is their money, their stipend to decide. They can decide how to use it as they choose to do so.
Will they have budgets?
The
Individual.
district councils do not have budgets. But one of the goals of a district council is to create opportunities for social justice, for peace circles, for maybe doing some mental health check-ins, maybe looking at alternative policing or arresting intervention strategies, things like that. They may want to host a training, or may want to do some counseling, or may want to do an art project. They may want to create some kind of new initiative that will require some experts to be hired, things of that nature. Once the district councils gets that kind of input from the community and they develop a plan and a proposal, they are to turn it in to the community outreach coordinator, who will give it to me, and we'll figure out how to get something like that funded.
Okay. Did you answer the question about what kind of legal enforcement of local municipal codes or CPD regulations are they responsible for?
They are responsible. When we say responsible for, what do you mean?
I mean, similar to what the codes that a CPD officer is responsible for adhering to.
I think the person who asked this question may be a bit confused. I don't think they have any
Yeah, they don't have any legal.
responsibility for the CPD. This
No.
is a community, citizens, residents, civilians, if you will. They're representing us.
Correct.
They're working with us. They're not, focusing necessarily on discipline or enforcing laws against the police or anything like that. They are representing us so we can have a better relationship with CPD.
Correct.
Yes. So I hope that answers the question
Right.
on that.
Because I think people are confused about
Right.
that piece.
Yes, yes. Again, this is, if you ask me, this is just another layer for community policing.
Mhm.
Correct.
That they're
They
getting
are
paid.
not officers.
They're not officers, they're regular citizens who, getting for this elected office. And they're, as someone said, 4 years is a long time. And then that's where we have to be engaged as citizens to making sure they're having these meetings and the information is posted. This has been coming for a long time. So people who may not be familiar with these positions, there is information out there. You just got to pay a little catch up. I'm trying to go through all the questions to make sure.
Mhm. I
Someone
know,
says,
I'm
how
sorry.
do they, and I'm thinking they mean district council, OCP, and beats, do they operate independently?
Repeat the question. How do?
They say, it just says, how do they, I'm not sure who the they are, work with OCP and beats? Do they operate independently? Because that's another thing. As a beat facilitator, I'm like, will the district council people engage the beat facilitators? How is that gonna go? And I know a lot of this has not necessarily been mapped out yet. And then OCP, I'm not sure what OCP means. Office of Community Policing, maybe. I'm
Mhm.
not sure. Yeah.
I think he mentioned that before.
Yes.
So-
Yes.
It would be wise if CAPS officers, beat officers, OCP members come to the monthly community meetings of the district councils. It would be wise if can't say this so many times, if district council members go to CAPS meetings and beat meetings and OCP meetings when they happen as well. This is not a competition, and no one is trying to eliminate or devalue or replace anyone who is already in this space and doing this work. The difference is the district councils, the commissioners, and the commission of the CCPSA have teeth that the other organizations may not have, but the other organizations may have expertise that might be missing just because of experience that some of the district council members may not have. So it would behoove all of us to work together to make sure we develop these plans and initiatives to increase cooperation, trust, respect, collaboration between the police department and the community. The biggest difference is that the CCPSA has to put forth recommendations through the commissioners and occasionally through the district councils that the superintendent, COPA, police board, and the administration must adhere to.
From what budget are the council members and the commissioners being paid from?
The entire CCPSA, which includes the stipends from everyone, is funded by a percentage calculated by the budget office of the Chicago Police Department budget. Now, when I say calculated, it essentially is that, calculated. The police department cannot and does not know what that number is. They have no input on it. They can't change it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. And who nominates the commissioners, the permanent commissioners, and why?
If you remember, because we got into questions, which is not a problem.
Mhm.
So the nominating committee, which is one member out of each district council across the city, there will be 22 individuals who will meet, look at the qualifications that are defined in the ordinance of the individuals who must be, who will be commissioners, and they will develop a list of individuals who they will recommend to be commissioners. Once they see what the qualifications are, the nominating committee members will develop the job posting, if you will, to be a commissioner. That will be published. A bunch of resumes and cover letters are going to come in. The nominating committee is going to go through all of, let's just use a round number, 100. Out of that 100, they may say, here are 25 people that we think would make really good commissioners. They will submit those list of names to the administration. The administration will select 14 of those names down to 7. Those 7 will be presented before city council, and they'll be confirmed by city council. If the administration does not like any of those candidates, they will send those back to the nominating committee. They'll find some other individuals and go back and submit some more names, etc.
Does the district council members, representatives in any way have to answer to their alderpersons in their
No.
district?
Nope. Not at all.
Michelle, you want to go back at the top and start?
Yes, there's one question. I don't think that this is applicable, but I'm just gonna read it as they wrote it. Hold on just a second. If there are code violations, can district council address if and I'm not sure how to pronounce this word, but I'll say if I don't know what they mean because I've never seen this word. It says if there are code violations, can district council address if the conditions remain? So I don't know. Are they talking about businesses and code violations? I'm not.
Deleterious.
I don't know.
Conditions.
Yeah.
So repeat the whole question for me.
It says if there are code violations, can district councils address if the, excuse me if I'm mispronouncing this word,
Deleterious.
deleterious conditions remain. That's a $5 word right there.
So that has
But I don't know what they mean by code violations. I don't know if that's at a business, a home, a building. I don't know. And it's very important that when you ask your question, that you make sure that's relevant to this forum and this topic, because some of the questions that ask are like, how come we didn't get more information about district councils? It's out there. You might have missed it. Why are they, getting, 4 years with, some of these things have already been established before they got to this platform. It is what it is. We have to work within the conditions or the ramifications given to us. Why do they have 3 district councils and not 10? I don't know. They just have 3. So some of it is just, that's what it is. And perhaps now as you get engaged, you can make recommendations because, maybe they'll restructure it. Because it also said, would district councils be able to meet with neighboring district councils if there are similar goals to be reached? Absolutely. Why would they not? Partnership.
Right.
Okay.
So let me go back and attempt to answer that question just to make sure we all are on the same page. COPA is the investigating body, right, of police misconduct. If an officer violates police code of conduct, the individual is to report that to COPA, excuse me, and follow the necessary steps of that investigation to go forward. If I don't want to print. If the individual is unsatisfied with the investigation in terms of length of time it's taking, et cetera, things like that, bring that to the next commission meeting, and then the commissioners will know how to, it is their purview to bring that up with COPA, because they are the ones who hold COPA's leadership accountable if they're not responsible or responsive to the community.
Okay, this should be an easy question. Can a district council member hold another elected position while being a council member?
Elected in the city of Chicago?
That's
No.
Okay, no, I didn't think so. You can only hold, in the city of Chicago, you can only hold one elected position at a time.
Correct.
Now, can they be a district council here and maybe a state rep? Or a Cook County commissioner? Or state senator? I don't think so, but perhaps, because I don't
I'm
think
sorry.
so.
I do not believe so, especially in Cook County.
Okay.
Well,
However, we are viewed similar to local school councils as well, so I will find out and get back to you on that.
okay, we have an aldermanic candidate, Kirby Bergens, for the 6th Ward. Can we put him off, take him off mute, Anthony? He wants to ask a question. Kirby? Kirby?
Hello, I want to thank Mr. Smith for giving us this time and this vital information. So my question is basically, I want to put a situation out there and see how the district council members will be influential in that decision. So just think back a couple of months ago, we had a police officer that was connected to racial groups, right? I forgot the name of the group that he was connected to, but he was connected to a racial group. And it went through COPA. They had decided that this police officer should be the Proud Boys. Thank you for that. They decided that this officer should be removed from the police force. Should stay on. The superintendent decided that he should stay on. What role will the council members play in that decision making? Is something like that, where I know for me, when I knock on doors and talk to individuals, they would have liked for that guy to be removed from the police force. What role will our council members play in that type of decision making?
Okay. So your district councils will take information like that, and they will share that information and give that information to the commissioners. The commissioners currently, really, as we speak, are drafting, I'm not gonna say trying because they are, drafting policy that will determine the role that members of organizations similar to the Proud Boys has with a member of the Chicago Police Department. In other words, there should be some rules against something like that, correct? That is a policy decision. That is policy that has to be implemented. That is a policy that has to be written, legally researched, and then approved to change that code in the code for the Chicago Police Department. That is what your commissioners do. The code is what is enforceable or not, right? For an officer who is a member of an organization or a hate group or a criminal enterprise or things like that, it is later to be found out. But that has to be investigated, adjudicated, and then there are some processes that have to take place, due process, etc. Just can't say if you see a member of your local district and you think he's a member of the Proud Boys or she's a member of the Proud Boys, they got to go. There's a process that has to take place. And so what your district councils are supposed to do is develop enough relationships with your district commander, your sergeants, your captains in your district, so that when issues similar to that arise, you know how the district councils would know how to proceed to get one, clarity, to get the information to pass it on to your commissioners who represent your area, who can then look to see if that violates any code that is already on the books, or if there's code that needs to be written or edited or corrected going forward.
We have another question. Can a council member be a beat facilitator?
Yes.
I think those would be the best council members.
We've been asked to take some live questions from the audience and let them ask their own questions. But Mr. Smith, I just wanted to clarify that this district council role can be both accountability for the police as well as public safety, meaning I envision this district council role perhaps working with violence interrupters on the public safety front, as well as being on the accountability front for the Chicago Police Department. Can you expound on that?
Absolutely. So everyone deserves to come home, right? With an interaction with the police department. The suspect or the alleged has the right to their day in court or to return home if it's just a warning or a minor infraction and things don't escalate. The officer has the right to get home as well. There are many situations in many of our communities that may not require 15 officers, handcuffs, batons, tasers, and guns being drawn. How can the district councils be used to facilitate those relationships? How can the district councils work on problem solving so that those individuals are not treated so harshly? How can the district councils create programs, initiatives, alternatives, so that officers do not have to draw their weapons, do not have to tase, and do not have to handcuff someone who's having a crisis moment, a bad day, a mental illness challenge, a job firing, let me use this word very carefully, things that happen in the house that just make you angry but are not domestic violence. Folks just get mad sometimes. And how do we handle those situations where that everyone can still be at home, go home, and stay home safely? Violence interrupters who have their ears to the streets and in communities and amongst individuals that the officers may not be privy to, right? How can these things happen? Social justice, peace circles, alternative interventions, all of those things. Your district councils are to be the ones to help make those things happen and increase the usefulness and effectiveness of those programs and initiatives that are already working.
Okay. Jennifer Edwards, I believe you had a question. Anthony, can you take her off of mute? Jennifer? Jennifer? Jennifer?
I'm not sure if CC Edwards still has a
CC?
question.
Yep. Can you take CC off of mute, Anthony?
Okay, it's working now. This is Jennifer.
Thank you, Jennifer. Go ahead, please.
Mr. Smith, my concern has been when I found out in the beginning that the voting process for the council members is different than the regular voting process for aldermen and other elected members. So what I did is I called the Board of Elections and talked to the election attorney. And he said that they don't have to go through a runoff, that the three that are on there would have to be at least three. And they're running like a slate if they want to. So if nobody votes for them, they get on. Whereas the other candidates have to campaign and get out here and talk to people. Excuse me, I think that's starting already as a bias. And I was told that that was put in the code when it was decided that this is how it was going to be. Whoever put the codes together. That seems a little different. And I only met one person in the 6th district that's running. The other two I have not met because they don't really need to campaign. There's only 3 people. Now this could be happening in other areas too. We've also heard that in order to get rid of them, you have to have a 2,000 people petition in order to start the process. That seems a little bit harsh on the other end. So I just wanted to bring that up and see what you could say about that. Because they're getting the other candidates that are on here have to go through I don't know what in order to try to run and talk to people. And I believe that's some of what's the problem with the people, that they don't know what's going on and they don't know who these people are. Can you talk anything about that?
Yes, ma'am, I can. Give me 1 second. I want to find the right information for you. While I'm looking for that, I will tell you this. Okay. District council members, as I said a little earlier, district council members in order to win the office will be the top 3 vote getters, the top 3 vote earners, the top 3 vote receivers, period, across all 22 districts. That includes those that are on the ballot and those who are write-in candidates. So if a write-in candidate receives 86 votes and one of the non-write-in candidate receives 50 votes, the write-in candidate wins that spot. In order to be elected, it is the top 3 vote getters. So the idea of a slate, again, I'm not sure who you spoke to, so if you have their name, please let me know, really does not apply to the district council members. You cannot vote for just one council member and have the other 2 members of their slate receive votes. You must vote for 3 individuals. That's it.
Hey, Damon, it's Commissioner Isaac Troncoso. Do you mind if I jump in on this as well?
Sure, Isaac.
So, hey, everyone. Great to meet you all. My name is Isaac Troncoso, and I'm one of the 7 commissioners that you've been hearing so much about. So thanks for having us. Really appreciate it. And while it may seem unusual, and I wasn't in the room when they wrote this legislation, this is typically what we do in Chicago for positions that have multiple people elected. So you can think about it almost like with Water Reclamation District. They have 4 people, and it's the top 4 vote getters without a runoff. And we would all love for there to be more time for people to learn about the districts, but you can kind of think about it how Water Rec works.
Does that
Okay.
answer your question, Jennifer?
That was part of the question.
Okay.
If your question's been answered, if you have no more comments, Commissioner Isaac, you can lower your hand. And I do see another hand, candidate Kirby Bergens is also, his hand is raised.
Damon, were you done answering?
I just want to find out one quick thing right quick, just to make sure I answered the young lady's question. Because that number did sound high to me. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's it. We're good. That's what I'm trying. Everything is correct. We're good. So did I answer that question fully?
Jennifer? Is she still on mute? I don't know if that answered her questions.
Well, it really, I spoke with Adam Lasker. That's who I talked to at the Board of Election.
Yeah.
I think I'm saying his name. And he mentioned something similar to the water reclamation voting. But, maybe it's nothing that can be said. It's just that the way this was put together over a long period of time and not letting the community know what's going on, that's a problem to a lot of people. And then the voting is different. And we've got our candidates out there working like I don't know what, trying to get into office to be an alderman. And these people don't have to, they can have 1, 2, 3 votes and get on. So, it's just something that you should look at. It doesn't seem right. And that's one of the reasons I got on when I saw that you were coming, sir. So you all can start thinking about these things. There are other issues, but I won't bring those up. Let other people bring them up. Okay, thank you.
And Damon, if you can repeat, if any resident or groups of people or however have a problem with the district council meeting, the protocol is to contact you.
Contact me and or the community outreach coordinator of that particular district. And we will start the mechanisms in place if there's a need, or to find out if there's a need to have a district council member removed.
Mr. Smith, can you go over, so the steps to have someone removed starts with what, and walk us through where it starts and then where it ends with their removal, step by step.
Wow. Well, that is actually, and Isaac, if you want to chime in, but essentially it's going to start with the community expressing their disappointment, right? Or whatever the challenge is. Now, when we talk about a grievance with a district council member, we have to really understand what that means if they are not doing their job, right? That's what we're talking about. There's a mechanism in place. There's paperwork that will need to be requested from the community outreach coordinator and myself, that will have to be filed with our office. We'll go into the review, and then we will meet with those various community members. Once we have that information verified, it will go before the commissioners, who then have their own investigative process. And then once that is created, there's a mechanism in place to remove individuals from their particular council seat. There will have to be a vote amongst I can't talk anymore. There'll be some votes that have to be done from the community and the commissioners. And then a vacancy will have to be created. Once the vacancy is created, the remaining members of the district council will then have to put the bid out there, a request out there for individuals to fill that third seat, select from those names, submit those names to the commission. The commissioners will narrow that field down to 7, who then will submit those names to the administration, who will then select an individual for that commission. I'm sorry, for that council seat.
So you said it would go from the community having to fill out a form essentially and filing.
Community with the remaining commissioner, district council members and my staff, yes.
Okay, and those forms exist currently?
They are being drafted now.
Okay, and then they come to the commissioners and you guys are gonna have a vote?
Gonna have to go through a voting process, yes.
And then you said something about that the community then would also have to vote on it too?
Community is gonna have to have input to verify that this is what's gonna be done.
What's the community input process for the verification?
It'll be a meeting, wonderful meeting and a vote.
And then who would you meet with?
Well, that would be spelled out in the ordinance. We haven't drafted that full part out yet. We're trying to figure out how many people and from whom that would be.
Okay, and then from there, after that meeting, it goes to
the commissioners,
and then they make the final decision.
Mm-hmm.
So they could make a decision that is contrary to what the community has said.
Isaac, will that ever happen?
Oh, hold on, I think he's muted. Sorry. You can unmute yourself.
Thank you. I highly doubt that would ever happen. Also, the petition process, so that 2,000 signatures number that you've been hearing about. Number one, I texted the executive director just now of the commission to ask if there are any other steps that we're missing in the process to remove a district council candidate. I can also maybe email Tanya if he gets back to me with anything else. But that 2,000 signatures number you've been hearing can also be used to force the commission to meet about any issue at all. And that can be signatures for people across the city. So if you'd like the commission to meet about, you know, an officer being a member of the Proud Boys or a certain CPD training thing or anything, any other topic that you're interested in, you can get 2,000 signatures from anywhere in the city, present it to us, and then we are forced to meet about that in addition to our regular monthly public meeting.
And then I have one more and I'll stop because I don't want to abuse my position here. So, and let me frame this correctly. We have some officers, and I want to give an example. This isn't anything real, but let's say there's an officer that we found out who said that they're afraid of Black people because they were beat up by 5 Black guys when they were in high school. We would find that officer to be unfit for duty. Is that correct? I mean, as a community, we would say that. And I'm saying that because I heard one of your members say that they got beat up by the police some years ago, and to date, even now when they walk into the police station as a member of this commission with their card, that they're still afraid and trembling from the experience. And that's got me wondering about, well, what are the qualifications to be a commissioner and to be on these committees? Because it sounds like to me that person is in a terrible state of trauma. And I would not trust that person to make objective decisions about anything regarding the police, given the fact that they haven't yet learned how to control their own mind about situations that are no longer occurring. So how are you guys being vetted for this position? Since we want the police to have the police heavily, which I agree with, but then also who watches the watchmen? How are you being policed? That's my question.
Well, I'm gonna let Isaac take it from the commissioner standpoint, then I'll take it from the staff standpoint. Isaac, you go ahead, go first.
Okay, so thanks so much for your question. So there's kind of this dividing line of the first round of interim commissioners and then the next commissioners moving forward. I know you guys are pretty familiar with that, but just to give you a sense of how we were vetted, the first, interim 7. So we were put through an 8-month process of interviewing by a committee of aldermen. They then nominated, so it was open application to anyone. There were maybe 30-something applications. Then a committee of aldermen reviewed those applications, interviewed us several times, then nominated 14 of us to the mayor, and then the mayor picked 7. So aldermen submit 14, the mayor picks half of them, and then the mayor's staff interviewed us as well. So that's how we were ultimately selected. That was our vetting process. Of course, there were some requirements there. So 2 of us have to be from each side of the city. Like Damon said, I'm one of the 2 north side commissioners, and one of us could be from any side. So we have 2 north, 2 south, 3 west. It's just how it happened to break out. And then the next round of commissioners is really going to be vetted by the district council members. So like Damon said, those 22 that are each on their nominating committee from each of the districts across the city, that's really who will be watching the commissioners, watching those watchmen.
And then from the staff side, because I'm staff, I'm not a commissioner. We've been through a vetting process as well, as you would for almost any job here at the city of Chicago or anywhere, to look through, you have previous experience or experiences that have best suited you for this particular expertise. I have been working in the space. I worked on the GAPA Coalition when it first started and have been working in police accountability for over 10 years. So I have been in this space, and I have been an unfortunate victim of police brutality, and I've also been an advocate for police. So I've been on both sides on many occasions, even before I started working for this job. And so the experiences that many of us have helped us on the staff side create a commission that, one, our job is to support the commissioners. Let me make that very clear. The staff do not answer to the mayor. We answer to the commissioners, the interim commissioners, and then the permanent commissioners once they are put in place. And if they feel that we are not doing our jobs properly, thoroughly, or with the expertises that are necessary for the positions, then they'll make the necessary recommendations to Adam, who is our executive director, Adam Gross, and things may or may not change in terms of, depending what the grievance is or et cetera. So we are constantly being watched. I mean, the one thing that is, I'm just going to speak for the district council representatives. Because they're so localized in the police districts, we want them to have experiences with the police in their districts so they can help us make this better for everyone. Now, if there are some opportunities to help individuals have better relationships with the law enforcement communities, then we need to look at that as well as district council members and figure out what initiative, programs, resources need to be made available to them, and to present that to the commissioners as well as to the community to make them happen.
I would also add on to that. I think part of Anthony's question as well, or at least it's been brought up a few times about, hey, what about an example of if we think one officer, maybe is not acting in the best interests, or, member of the Proud Boys, et cetera, and we want to remove that person, what role does the commission play? So in an individual case like that when you have a complaint about an officer, that would still go through COPA. But where the commission would come in is we are really more so looking at like citywide systemic policies to say, hey, somebody raised a complaint, or there have been a lot of complaints about, this type of issue. Maybe we should look at training policies on a citywide scale and see, how are officers being vetted? How are they being trained? How are they being recruited? So the district councils would really kind of raise an individual issue, and then that might go to COPA to investigate, or that person who has an issue could just directly go to COPA, and then the commissioners would kind of look at citywide patterns, bigger issues on that entire citywide scale, and change policy.
I think someone asked, what kind of training will the district council members get?
That is all about me. So I will be putting the district councils, my team, we'll be putting the district council members through a 3-day training that will include everything from police accountability practices that are already here, the idea of justice versus revenge. We'll also be looking at the administrative part of the job and all the things that are required through the Opens Meeting Act, FOIA requests, data sharing. We will also talk about the city's technology that is available. We'll expose them to the websites that will be available to them, the dashboards that we're building that'll be available to them, introduce them to the commissioners as well. I mean, so they will have an extensive 3-day training to get them prepared the job once they start on May 2nd.
Has CPD been receptive to the creation of this council?
Yes. Just had another meeting with them yesterday. Was it yesterday? No, Thursday. Yes.
I just want to make sure that CC Edwards was able to ask her question, then Kirby, and are we allowing time for the actual district council candidates to speak?
We are.
Okay, just want to make sure that everybody knows that's happening.
Anthony, can you unmute CC, Kirby, and whoever else wants to ask?
I think those are the only 2 people that had additional comments.
Okay,
live question.
So thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Also in the chat, Commissioner Troncoso says that one other requirement of commissioners is that 2 of the 7 must be age 25 or younger, and he is one of those.
Thank you for your service.
Thanks for having me. The community and you guys is really what makes it happen. So we really appreciate it. And I also just sent the location and time of our next meeting. So you can sign up to speak. We give a really healthy amount of time, I think 20 or 30 minutes for public comment at the beginning. So we really encourage you guys to sign up for that. You know, the commission phone number is on our website. If you just Google CCPSA Chicago, our website is the first thing that comes up. So if you have any comments, you know, you can really reach us. We want to be transparent. Please attend our next meeting, or you can also find recordings of past meetings on our YouTube channel as well. And they're live streamed there too.
I did invite the two South Side commissioners. One sits in Beverly, one sits on another part of the South Side.
Back of the
I got
yards.
I got no response. Okay, who?
Cece, are you still there? Okay, while we wait for her, Kirby, you want to go ahead?
Yes, thank you for this. So my understanding, I'm sorry, that's my dog. He's playing with his little toy. So my understanding is the council members, the district council members pick the commissioners, right? And the mayor have a pick in the commissioners as well, right?
Correct.
So my question would be, how transparent do they have to be in that process? Is there going to be like town halls or candidates forums with these individuals? Because at the end of the day, it's the commissioners, to me, that we need to make sure that we have in office that we truly like and we truly want in there. So my question would be, how do the community have a part in picking those commissioners?
So at the district council level, which is why it is absolutely the most important thing to attend the district council meetings, their district council members will, I do not foresee, let me go back, that sounds negative. It would be very wise for the district councils to post the list of the individuals that they will be sending to the administration's office. I'll just say that. And based on the qualifications that are in the ordinance, which the nominating committee will share with all 22 police districts, they will come up with these individuals. And I am more than sure that the nominating committee will be having meetings, inviting the community to participate, looking at some of these resumes that come in. And some will obviously be thrown out immediately, unfortunately, and some will be accepted like, oh, these people will make a great candidate, right? And they will probably present these individuals to the community. The community will have some input and say these names should go forward. And at some point, that list will have to be dwindled down, have to be filtered down, right, to the number that goes to the mayor's office. So it will be very transparent.
Because my only concern is what I'm worried about is the FOP sending, you know, a candidate that, you know, we may particularly like or push their resume in that pile. And next thing you know, we have a commissioner that is connected to, you know, the FOP, which is basically connected to the police department or the police and not really serving the community.
Well, there will be vetting that will be done there, Kirby.
Okay,
Isaac,
Cece,
did you want to chime in? So I didn't want to lead too much. Okay.
Anthony, can you unmute Isaac, please? He's not unmuted.
no.
He has to unmute himself.
He can't. And neither can Cece.
No. Dun, 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 dun.
Not me. They're not talking about me.
We have two Isaac. We're talking about the Commissioner Isaac.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant that Isaac over there.
No, Isaac
No, no,
Okoso.
no.
Problem is, sorry, everybody. Okay.
Thanks so much, Anthony. Appreciate it. Yeah, I was just going to add, I put it in the chat, but in order for the nominating committee of the district councilors to approve a commissioner, 2/3 of them, which is I think 17 out of the 22, have to approve of them. So if it's, you know, maybe a controversial candidate, that's a pretty high bar to get past.
Okay, now if we can
Now I think,
have CC, and then we have a few more questions.
yeah, my question, thank you very much, commissioners, and Damon, Mr. Deputy Commissioner, thank you for holding this meeting. Really appreciate that. And thank you, Tanya and Michelle. Really appreciate that. When my question was, it goes back to this 2,000 signatures. You know, I have gone door to door, and some other people on this chat have done it as well. And it's a very arduous process. And I just want to know about that 2,000. Is there any way that that can be changed to accommodate the district? Because in every district, police district, you're going to have several beats within that district. So for a person to actually amass 2,000 signatures, it may or may not even be possible. I mean, you're asking for an entire, a very hard process. And that means that that justice that you talk about, that transparency that you talk about, will never be seen the light of day, because the citizens won't be able to do that. And I'm just asking, is there a way that that can be reviewed again as far as that? My suggestion was maybe, you know, 100 or 200 or even 300 per district, you know, as opposed to 2,000 signatures.
They didn't even need that many signatures to get on the ballot.
Exactly. A local school council's only asked for 50 signatures, and that's a very huge district with a local school council. So I'm just asking, is there a possibility that Isaac or Damien, either one of you, can present that to the commission to review that again? That was my question. That was it.
Yeah, so I think that's definitely something for us to discuss. And we just haven't really, you know, been faced with a petition yet. So that question really hasn't been brought up yet. But I think right now that is in the ordinance, but I'm sure the commission could even have an internal policy if we wanted to that said, hey, if a petition gets 500 signatures, 1,000 signatures, whatever it is, we're just going to meet about it anyway. So I think that's something we'd have to talk about. I'm sure we'd be very open to it. Or at least I personally would. I don't want to speak for all the other commissioners. But yeah, and I think going forward, that would have to be something that would be changed in the ordinance if there was a commission in the future that was less friendly to that idea, so that they were legally obligated to meet with only 500 or 1,000 or whatever the number is. And that number is also, so I'm less familiar with the process of removing a district council candidate with signatures, but to force the commission to meet, those signatures can come from anywhere in the city. So they don't have to come from your individual district or beat or whatever the jurisdiction is. As somebody, yeah.
I was just gonna, yeah, sorry. Sorry, Isaac. That Monday meeting that we were at, can you talk about and let everyone know that non-citizens will have a role in this ordinance and in this process?
Yeah, so we have a non-citizens advisory council that is coming into place right now, which was written in with the ordinance. So they're legally obligated to advise us on issues of people that are, you know, immigrants to Chicago. We have 3 people appointed to that right now, but the application is open on a rolling basis. So if anybody here, if that applies to you, or you don't have to actually even legally be a non-citizen, you could just be somebody who's worked on those issues or is familiar with those issues, you can apply to that today. And that application is still open, and they will definitely have a voice. And that application can be found on our website, which I sent the link earlier.
Michelle? I think Jennifer has, we're going to take one more question and then we'll have presentations by our district council candidates. Anthony? Can you unmute?
Okay, yes, thank you. Isaac, you were at the meeting that we had. We were all together at the Park Manor Neighbors. And then we went to another meeting at the University of Chicago. So we talked further with people. I think the big problem is that we have issues, and I think we told you these things there at those meetings, that a big portion of the population was left out of the planning. And also, it wasn't a lot of older people. There were no police officers that were CPD as far as we know. And we just have a problem with all of this was put together. Now, maybe it wasn't you all that did it, but I think that, as the word gets around, I called several districts, 22, 15, 12, and all of them said they wanted to know what was happening. It was just not the South Side, our area. They had no idea of what was going on. So we're hoping that as you move forward, you would think about those things, you and Damon and whoever else, because that's problematic. And we vote and we pay taxes. So, but thank you, for both of you all sitting on the hot seat. We appreciate it. Okay.
Of course, I think, as I said, go ahead, Damon.
Well, was that Jennifer?
Yes, it was.
Okay, Jennifer. So let me help you out. We are not up here just trying to make this up as we go along. The commissioners have had various meetings with members of the CPD administration and leadership, and myself and Adam and the other deputy director, Brian Kenner, have also had meetings with CPD, trying to best figure out, and we have been, how to do this rollout so it is successful for everyone as we go forward. So one of the things on the district council side that we are doing is meeting with the district commanders and their local leadership to, one, find out about space, talk about accountability, talk about the roles and responsibilities of the district council members, reporting, etc., so that they know what's going on. We've been working on this behind the scenes over the last month or so, and we had a meeting with the community policing project of the Chicago Police Department, policing staff, rather, community policing staff and community policing project, and other partners, coalition partners as well, to roll this out in a way that is best effective for all parties involved. So don't worry, we are not going to be putting anyone in a situation where it's us versus them, or starting to have meetings in police districts that the police district leadership does not know about, doesn't know what's going on, does not know about the rules and responsibilities of the district councils, and not have a member of their staff assigned to the district councils to meet with us on a regular basis, etc. So no, they know what's going on, they know how it's being wheeled out, but there's a protocol and procedure and how that's being done from the district council side that has been put in place. I can also tell you, because I'm going to brag on my commissioners a little bit, they have been meeting with COPA leadership, they've been meeting with police board leadership, they've been meeting with CPD superintendent's office and that leadership as well, not only on these district councils and the role of the commissioners, but things they're looking forward and working on going forward. In fact, at their last meeting, they had the goal setting meeting, which was at Olive Harvey, that had all of those members there. So they know what's going on. The superintendent himself came. So they know what's going on. They know what's happening. Now it's just trying to put the nuts and the bolts together, dot all the I's, cross all the T's. So then it rolls out May 2nd. Everyone is on one accord.
Well, Damon, let me just say this last statement is that many of the people on this call have been meeting with our commanders, our various other people, police board people. They know us. We've been around. We've been doing a lot of this, and we're just now hearing about this. So it's good to hear that you guys are doing it too. We need to be brought in on this too. We know these people, we have their phone numbers, we talk to them on a regular basis and have been handling a lot of the issues that are going on. We've been doing it. Several people on this call. So we don't mind connecting with you all, but don't leave us out like we've been left out. So, okay.
I
So,
couldn't agree
Jennifer?
more.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry,
ahead,
Damon.
No, go ahead. You're good.
I was just going to say, I couldn't agree more. I mean, we can never do enough talking to you all, talking to any, community from across the city. We're definitely trying to do as much as we can while also keeping up our administrative responsibilities over COPA, the superintendent, the police board. I just dropped in my personal email to the chat for the commission, my individual commission email. If there are any other events like this that we can come to, even being a Northside commissioner without a car, I will definitely try my best to be there. That's a lot of Uber's not cheap, but I will definitely try my best. And we will always try to send a representative. I can promise you that. And we really can't do enough of this. I hope, everyone that wants to have a voice, please invite us places. Please attend our next meeting next Thursday at Daly College. Please speak at that meeting at the beginning. We'd love to have you talk. Please let us know where we can be. And we appreciate your input because we know you guys have been doing this, for decades and years. So we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're going to move on. We have 6 district candidates that want to give a presentation to the community as well as to Damon Smith and Commissioner Troncoso. So if we could move to that. Aisha, you want to start with us? And then if we have more questions afterwards, we'll take those.
Also, the very last,
another 30 minutes. What's that?
The very last thing I wanted to say that I just
Yes.
remembered was we were also supposed to be appointed by law, actually, January of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And we were appointed 8 months late in August of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be part of why people haven't heard about this. We ideally would have had more than a year to talk to you guys about this, but our process was heavily delayed. So apologies for that.
Understand.
But Ty, there is another way of looking at that, because one of your persons said that, like, you guys 4 years ago they've been working on it, and I'm saying this as an IT person who gets delays with projects all the time. Even if my project's delayed for a year, that just means I had another year to build my marketing and connect with people about what I'm doing. So it's kind of, I don't want to say inappropriate. It's a strange thing to say that, well, I was supposed to do something on X date and I had to push it out to Z date, and that's why you don't know. You had more time to develop a strategy to tell the community about it. And as Jennifer says, it doesn't really seem like you took advantage of that. And so stuff like that has people questioning your skill set, your capability, and your intention, I think, in terms of informing the community.
Yeah, I appreciate that. All I can say is, I wasn't part of drafting the legislation and wasn't even sure that I would, be on this commission until a couple months ago. And there's always more we can do. So we're trying to do that. And we really appreciate you guys inviting us here and letting us be here.
Thank you. All right. We're going to move on to Aisha Humphreys. She's the write-in for the 6th district, and I'm going to try to spotlight you. Here we go. Go ahead, Aisha.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Aisha Humphreys, and thank you for having me, Tanya and Anthony. I am as she said, a write-in candidate for the 6th District Council. And I'll just say a few words, and then I'm glad to answer any questions that you all have or address any concerns. So I have served with Beat 631 for the last few years. I'm currently the Beat 631 facilitator, along with Lakeisha Gage Woodard, who is also on this call. I am also a board member of an organization called Chatham United, which covers roughly 79th to 87th and State to King Drive. That started a couple of years ago, and we have about 200 members now. I first found out about the legislation guiding the council a couple of years ago, but did not have any information on any elections. I heard about the elections last summer from an acquaintance and colleague of mine who's running for a district council position in another district. And I reached out to several people like community organizations, CPD, also the other beat facilitators, to find out like more information. And it was not until actually we organized, I basically organized an aldermanic forum for the 6th ward. And as part of that process, got in contact with the League of Women Voters and some other voter education and engagement groups. And that was how I found out about the process. I also discovered that there were 2 candidates on the ballot, and a couple of notes that I want to make that are specific to the 6th district. I agree with the comment about communication, because even I, as someone who is a facilitator, a community organization member and leader, did not have enough information about this. And even after I started an investigation process, was still not able to find out a whole lot of information until the last minute, which is how I ended up not being on the ballot, because I originally did not plan to run until I found out that there were only 2 candidates. I also want to say for 6th district that there are only 3 districts in the city. In spite of the lack of communication, there are only 3 districts in the city that had more seats available than there are candidates: the 6th, the 14th, and the 1st. Every other district has a competitive race. So they have been out campaigning. They've been doing, ads. They've been doing events. I have attended several of them in the last couple of months. And we are one of the few districts that simply did not have the information that we needed. So after I found out there were only 2 people on the ballot, I did some more research to determine whether or not I could serve, since I was already a facilitator. And I filed, by that date, it was too late to do the petition, so I filed as a write-in. And in the last month or so, I have been going around to try to do outreach. I've been attending meetings, speaking to my neighbors, doing everything we can. My priority, honestly, was the aldermanic forum. And since that has been over, I've been turning a lot of my attention towards trying to do outreach and answer any questions that I can. There are some candidate voter guides. The Chicago Reader did one in conjunction with the Tribe and Block Club Chicago. There's also one for the Empowered Communities voter guide. So there are 2 where I have submitted my information to people who wanted to find out more so that I could publicize it. And I'm glad to answer any questions. It's very good to be here, and I'm glad to meet you all.
Yeah, Aisha, one of the questions is one of the members is asking, please name 3 block clubs in your district and share a brief summary of your priorities or your top pressing concerns that you intend to address.
Sure. When you say name the block clubs, I pretty much work. So Chatham United is essentially a coalition of block clubs in the area that I name, which is 79th to 87th and State to King Drive. Okay. And so I work closely with them. We're more of a coalition of block clubs, neighbors, and organizations that kind of sits in that rectangle, so to speak. And as a facilitator, I work with several of them. So that would be Michigan, Indiana, Prairie, Calumet, State, and King Drive, all of those streets. And the priorities that we have for the most part, everything begins and ends with safety. That's always the first thing. We've had several incidents over here. At 631, which stretches from State all the way to the viaduct east of Cottage Grove.
I think, I'm sorry, Aisha, the question is, what are your top priorities as a district council member for the entire 6th district community? Okay, so it said name the 3 block clubs. Okay, so that was it. Yep. Okay. And so the top priority, I think, for everybody, as I said, is public safety. So the violence, people are concerned about how we're addressing it. And as a beat facilitator, I would say more specifically the response to the violence, how the police are responding to incidents, investigating them, and resolving them. So that is the same issue that I have as a beat facilitator, and I will continue to work on that. So I would say just the violence, specifically the police communication.
Number two is how we can do more in the areas of prevention and public safety. So that's not just violence like shootings and things like that. It's also street traffic, speeding, stolen cars, a lot of things that are affecting people's quality of life. And I would say that those are pretty much my priorities, is kind of having a increased transparency between the police and the district and the community rather, because I think that 6th district they don't do a good job. And I've said this to CAPS, I've said this in a lot of different ways. We don't do a good job of communicating with the community. There's a lot of turnover in 6th district. We got a new commander now. That's at least the 4th one since I've been over here the last several years. And we don't get a lot of feedback from like what's working, what it is they need from the district. So I would say communication is huge for me. And it's probably, I would say, the 3rd priority for me.
Okay. What does police accountability look like to you? It's a question from one of our aldermanic candidates.
Sure. For me, I think in terms of police accountability, first of all, I feel like I would quote the idea that with great power comes great responsibility. So I believe that in any situation, governments and those who have the authority of the state always have the highest responsibility, whether it's de-escalation, whether it is, justice matters, encounters with citizens, they always have the higher responsibility in those situations. I do not believe in the idea that only good people or people who act the way we want them to deserve justice. That's not the case, nor should it be, because they're often not the ones with the power. So that's number one. The second thing to me that a police accountability looks like is communication, as I said, with citizens. My experience over the last several years has been that we talk a lot about all of the things that are working against police, and we don't talk enough about what police could be doing better. And for me, that really goes into the communication and transparency piece. We're not, like, crimes are not being solved. And I think people are not feeling safe, how they're allocating resources and time. I think that they do have to be more accountable to citizens and to the community as a whole. And I think that there's a lot of things we can do, not just with CPD as a whole, but I think some of those things are specific to 6th district, where we don't have the same issues in other neighborhoods. They don't have all of the same problems, and they can't all have the same solutions. So I think accountability looks like, first of all, recognizing the power imbalance. And second of all, recognizing that as citizens, because we are the ones paying the price and the ones living in the neighborhoods, that we do have a responsibility to have a line of communication.
Another question. Yeah.
Oh, I just want to be mindful of the time. It's 15 minutes left.
Yeah,
So
we're going to move on to, I see David Boykin,
Yes,
who's a
thank
neighbor
you.
of mine, is here. David, did you want to say a few words about your candidacy?
Thank you, Aisha.
And then we have a couple questions for you as well. Thank you, Aisha.
Yeah, my name is David Boykin, 6th District Police Council candidate, resident of, I've been living at 75th and Eberhard for the past 12 years. I'm a musician and an educator and counselor, play saxophone, jazz music. I've taught CPS schools at the college level at Roosevelt University and private lessons. Been a counselor of high school boys at BAM, through the BAM program at Finger High School, Corliss High School, and one other school, with those two schools. And I found out about the district council position maybe like the end of the summer or early in the fall. And I didn't know anything, about it, prior. I don't know if it was a flyer I saw somewhere or email thing I saw or something, but the ECPS, Empowering Communities for Public Safety Coalition, they were training people to run for the position, educating people about the position. And I just started going to the meetings just to find out what it was and more about it. That's how I found out about it. And I'd be in these meetings, and then after going to so many meetings and find out about it, they at the end of the meeting they would say, "Okay, who's gonna? Are you thinking about running? Are you willing to run?" And I was in the meetings, and I wasn't thinking about running at all, but just seeing that like you all, like there was nobody in the 6th district that was running. I was in these meetings. So I've always had a sense of, duty, responsibility to my community, even though as a musician, I've played and traveled all over the world, from Moscow to France to Africa. I've always, came back home and taught music and shared music with young people in my community. And I always felt the responsibility and the need to serve in my community in that way. So I decided, okay, well, yeah, I'll step up and I'll do this work, because I saw the work as very important, and especially the way that when they explained the district councils and what they were, and how the ordinance came about, out of the people, grassroots people fighting and struggling to hold police accountable. And then that in the present day, when we thinking about Rekia Boyd and Laquan McDonald, but then even going back, to the Black Panthers, and then even going back to Reconstruction era, there was an effort to have community control of the police. And just understanding that historical, fight and struggle and the significance of it, and the opportunity to participate and be a part of that, I decided to run.
There's a question here, David. I'm sorry.
Questions, yeah.
Yeah. So what is your strategy to strengthen community ties at the grassroots level? And how will you, and this could be both for Aisha as well, create effective and streamlined communications across your district? We have a lot of seniors in our district, as you know, and in particular, David, on our beat, because David is my neighbor. So how would you do that, and at the same time strengthen community ties at the grassroots level, on the street, boots on the ground?
Repeat the first part of that question about communication.
Yeah, streamlining communications effectively across the district, because we have a lot of elderly people, just like with this ordinance that will now fall in your laps.
Yeah, I don't. The question is a little vague to me, but this is a new position. But the primary role that I see, like other position, is very much all about communication. It's very much about getting the citizens together and being. I see the district council as like a liaison, a voice for the citizens, for the grassroots, to communicate with the commission. So those regular monthly meetings that we are required to hold, that is a minimum requirement. I see that I probably will be having more than one meeting, looking at the district itself and being out, collecting signatures that I had to collect. And so walking the district itself, I'm like, okay, I'm going to need to have more than one. There's no way I can have one meeting a month to service all the people from all the way from Damon all the way to Cottage Grove. So I think more meetings definitely will be one thing. And the challenge will be getting people out to the meetings, especially you talked about the elders. It's going to be a challenge, but I don't think one meeting will be enough. And then also engaging the youth is a big priority in that as well.
Right.
Excuse me, David. Excuse me. Anthony, can you unmute Aisha, please? So she can respond also.
Yeah.
I know, David, you talked about having some music events for the youth, and I'm a big proponent that music is healing. So that probably could be one way you could strengthen the youth ties.
Yeah.
Aisha, you should be unmuted now.
I agree.
Okay,
Yeah,
just one second.
definitely healing, and then with the youth, I mean, It's healing to listen to, but it's also very healing to move to. And that is the big thing with the youth. They like to move to the music. They want music to move to. We can shake off a lot of negative energy and feelings and stuff moving to music. So I see myself having some meetings specifically tailored to young people, you know, moving to music, and then also, but getting them together for the greater purpose, you know, of sharing this information and getting information from them, feedback about what's happening with the police and their engagement with the police and how they engage in them.
Okay. Aisha, you want to answer that question? What's your strategy to strengthen community ties at the grassroots level?
Sure. So as far as the communication, I would plan and hopefully work with David, and Eric Russell is the third person.
I see he just joined. Yep.
Oh, okay. Hi, Eric. To work with them, but I would like to continue using the same platform that I've used for my existing block club groups and for the beat facilitation. Beat 631, which is the one that I facilitate with Lakeisha, actually has one of the highest, if not the highest, kind of number of regular attendees. And one of the ways is because I created, which did not exist. We asked CPD for it when we got there. They did not have it. They don't track who's coming to the meetings or send out invites. So I have a regular email list that I've developed, and I actually send out calendar invites. I send agendas out. I add people to, you know, the mailing list, things like that. So one way is just to make sure people know that we're meeting. The same thing with like the form or anything else. You have to have a way to reach out to people, and also create a physical mailing list so that people who are like not online, not on email all the time will know about the meeting. So posting those at regular places where we know that people will have access to that information.
Okay. I know Aisha knows the answer to this question, but David, and then later Eric, do you know who your DCO officers are who work on quality of life issues?
No, I don't.
Okay. That would, we have a quality of life officer, and we also have DCO officers that work on quality of life issues. And one of the residents has suggested that you work with those officers to get some things done. And mindful of time, we're running a little bit over, but we just had our third candidate in the 6th district, Eric Russell, join us. Eric, Anthony, can you unmute him so he can say a few words about his candidacy?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, good evening, everyone. So sorry for being tardy for the chat. I'm actually out of town right now, but I definitely would not miss this opportunity, you know, to share. Hello, David. Hello, Aisha.
Hey, Garrett.
Well, I think we have been marching and protesting and lobbying for quite some time for community control of the police. I personally believe that police reform, transparency, and accountability is really the great civil rights battle of this generation. And it is an opportunity to not only to reform the police, but to build a bridge, because I think most people in the 6th district throughout our city, and I would dare say throughout the country, believe that the police really lack the ability to respectfully engage Black and brown citizens and treat them with a certain amount of dignity and respect. We will
Excuse me, Eric, before you get into that, just so the residents can know who you are, could you just introduce yourself and give us a little background on you specifically?
Okay.
As far as being in the 6th district, you know, in this area, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. My name is Eric Russell. I'm the president and founder of the Tree of Life Justice League. We're a non-for-profit here in Illinois. We advocate for families whose loved ones have been brutalized, tortured, and murdered by the police. Also, I attended Fisk University. I live on East 91st Place, longtime residents. I've been fortunate to, I have the endorsement as of right now. I have the endorsement of Congressman Danny Davis,
We don't need to
Congressman.
know about your
Okay.
endorsement, sir. We just want to know
Okay.
about you, and then you can answer. One of the questions was, if elected, how will you ensure transparency on your monthly stipends are utilized? And
Well,
that could
I
be for
think,
all. Mhm.
okay. We will ensure transparency by making sure that we're purveyors and advocates of truth. Um, and create a vehicle to give concerned citizens straight answers. I think one of the biggest hurdles that we have to overcome in police reform is is transparency. I think if we're gonna build build a bridge of trust and mutual respect, it has to start with transparency. I think people have to believe that their questions are being answered. And also, in fairness to the police, what we ask from the police is very simple. We ask them we want to reassure the police that we do not uphold or support lawlessness of any time. And we just simply expect them to uphold the law while they enforce the law. And I think the first step, that is a two-way street of transparency and
Okay,
mutual respect.
thank you. Tanya, we only have 2 minutes. I know.
Yeah, I
If you
just,
want to
yeah.
wrap up for us.
Yeah, I just want to ask a few more questions, make a statement. Mr. Russell, you came in late, so you didn't hear the
Please
first
forgive
half
me.
of the presentation from Commissioner Troncoso and Deputy Director Damon Smith. But this role, the district council member role, is twofold. It's both a community public safety role as well as accountability for the police. So we as the community, we're expecting you to engage with the community and strengthen community ties at a grassroots level. And that could mean something that looks like working with violence interrupters to help us gain some traction on the streets with said individuals that interact with the police, at the same time holding the police accountability for those said individuals that are disrupting our community. So what say you to that? What's your strategy?
Well, I think I'm really in a unique position. I work very closely with Mr. T.O. Hardeman. Those of you who are familiar with him, one of the
Yes.
founders of Ceasefire and Violence Interrupters. And I've been a part of many gang mediation. So I do have experience in that arena. And those, by me being a longtime police accountability advocate, I have this sort of, for lack of a better word, this sort of different sort of street credit, if you may say, if I may use the vernacular street, because many of the young people that I meet with, they're quickly to say, if they're seeing me on television advocating for police reform, they're very quick to say, oh, don't mess with that guy. Let's hear what old school has to say, because that's the guy that we need to call if police play us bogus. And I would parlay that sort of credibility on both sides to bridge the gap, because at the end of the day, I'm really not a big proponent of community shaming and victim blaming, but we will not allow these shooters and those purveyors of violence to hold our community hostage. But in the same token, we need to understand is that we cannot ask these children or those people who are driving the violence to put their guns down and not offer them another course.
Okay.
I think you can't stem the violence you have to have relationships, with these would-be shooters and with those driving the violence. I do have some sort of relationship with them. And I realize the answer is partly spiritual, where we're teaching them a reverence for life. We're teaching them accountability. And as Black men, we're trying to tell you, we're not afraid of you.
Yeah.
You will not hold our
Okay.
community
you,
hospital.
One last question before we wrap up to all three candidates. If you could wrap up, churches are the chief moral guardians of our community and are rooted in social justice. Can you share your outreach efforts with our faith community in your district?
Yes, and just so, and again, in sake of time, if you could do so in 90 seconds or less, that would be great. And we'll just go in alphabetical order. David Boykins first, please.
If you're asking about past outreach efforts with churches,
Can you share your efforts with the faith community? So things you've done in the past, of course.
Things I've
If
done.
any. And you may not have, and that's okay.
Yeah, I don't. In terms of this work, definitely not. But as a musician, you know, I've played in numerous churches.
Yeah.
Say that.
Okay, Aisha.
So I guess through the beat, we have done some work with the faith outreach. I am a member of a church that is outside of the 6th Ward. And I will say, I'm sorry?
6th District.
Outside of the 6th District, yes, and the 6th Ward, but yes, outside of the 6th District, thank you. And I work closely with all the churches that are in our area. So I've worked, of course, St. James, because that's the one closest to us. I've worked with the pastor over at Epatha, I always say it wrong, on 81st and King Drive as part of the beat facilitations. And as part of this work, I definitely will reach out to a lot of the pastors. There's about 3 or 4 of them that are in on my block club or kind of in our area that I'll continue to work with as well.
Eric? And we started late. So if we're 5 minutes, because I think some of the aldermanic candidates want to wrap. Go ahead, Eric.
I have a very strong relationship with the faith-based community. I just happen to be a member of St. Sabina Church and Father Michael Flager, and the work that they continue to do in the 6th District. As a district councilman, I will definitely seek to expand that work and actually use St. Sabina as a resource. And on a personal level, is that I spent 20 years in the mortgage and financial industry. And a part of my business was I wrote religious church insurance. And so I've actually was the insurance agent for a lot of these churches. And I do have a very good relationship with the faith-based community, not only in our district, but throughout the city.
Okay. Thank you. Patrick Brutus, did you want to say something, or Kirby Perkins, to wrap this meeting up? It's been very informative. I want to say on behalf of Michelle McGee and Anthony Crawford, our IT extraordinaire, thank you everyone for coming out. This has been really informative. We've got a lot of work to do. But
Dr. Brunville is
Kirby,
also on also.
Yes, she
who's
is.
that?
Dr.
Barbara
Brunville is
I'm
also
sorry,
on.
Barbara. Did I know Patrick wanted to say something? Go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah, hey, thank you, Tanya. And as you know, I'm Beat 624, so thank you. You're my leader.
Yes.
I want to say great job to all the organizers of this forum. I really do think this was informative, and I'm glad that you gave equal opportunity to David, Aisha, and Eric to speak. I look forward to working with you three because, like it or not, you're going to be our three, and so we're going to work with you. We're going to support you. And I believe that we have a very interesting mix of people here that are going to serve in these roles. I think the diversity of your backgrounds and the things that you each bring to the table are going to serve us absolutely in an incredible way. And I also would implore you guys to partner with the District 3 and District 7 Council police folks so that we can have a comprehensive collaboration of folks who are going to work in the 6th Ward to make sure that we are holding accountable our police districts, but as well as the community and folks that are living and working in this space. So I look forward to working with all three of you, and I'm excited about your candidacy, and I can't wait till March 1st. Congratulations to you all. And thank you, Tanya and
Thank
Michelle.
you, Patrick.
All right, Anthony.
And thank you, Patrick.
Kirby.
I would just like to say, echo some of the things that Patrick Brutus said by first starting off by thanking everyone that put on this candidates forum, because at the end of the day, it was very informative. And I want to personally thank Mr. Smith for all of the information that he gave out to help inform the constituents in the 6th Ward. And to all the candidates, keep doing what you're doing. Put together a people first agenda, and I hope to work with you guys, if elected or if not elected, to make sure that we're holding police accountable and celebrating them as well, because at the end of the day, I do think that we could do both.
Yes.
And so that's it.
Yes, that's true. Thank you, Kirby, for saying that. Dr. Bunville, did you want to say a few words? Anthony, can you unmute Dr. Bunville? I think you are unmuted, Dr. Bunville. Hello? I think you're unmuted.
She seems to be.
Yeah.
Can you say something so we can see if we can hear you? Or maybe she can't hear us.
She can't unmute herself. Anthony?
Bill, if you can hear us, hold your hand up.
Bunville?
I don't think she can hear us.
I don't think so either.
She's having some technical. Okay. Well, sorry, she can't unmute, but I want to say thank you, Damon Smith and Commissioner Troncoso. Thank you very much for a very informative presentation. I wish we had a little bit more people, but this will get us started. It's clear, residents, we have a lot of catching up and work to do. We are going to be working with our 3 district council candidates. I know I will be leaning in heavily, so expect me to be reaching out after the election. David, my neighbor, Aisha, my fellow beef facilitator, and Mr. Russell. Thank you so much, everyone, residents, for joining in and spending 2 hours on a Saturday. Really appreciate it. And just reach out. You've got all the information in the chat. Please feel free to save it. The next CCPSA meeting is on February 23rd via Zoom. I encourage you to join in that and learn all you can while we can. February 23rd at 6:30 in person at Daly College, or this being streamed on YouTube and Zoom. So thank you again, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and be safe.
Take care, everyone. God bless.
Thank you.
Vote.